thought that I was playing in the past. Now I'm super fast, real raw, relevant. I'm also known as super bad, with a super attitude. If you don't like it, you can book a pass and be the first in line to kiss mine. Wait a minute, what I mean is I'm a lion, not a sheep. I don't need a weakling around to try to follow me. I'm destined to be better, get it bigger every day. I don't got the patience to sit around try to play. Focus like an animal, king of the jungle.
Should I clap again?
Yeah.
All right, so take number 2 here on the podcast. We were just going. My friends, welcome to the Revolution Podcast. I am Sean Whalen, and we're here. We have technical stuff. It's always funny with technology. You always think that like technology is going to make life easier, and sometimes it does, but it kind of fucks some things up too. You know what I'm saying?
It looks cool.
So we've got my buddy Jesse here, and it's cool because Jesse, I just bought my Harley not too long ago, and Jesse's been helping me with my Harley and what to get for it and everything else. But I get a lot of people emailing me about business. A lot of my clients that I work with, business coaching and consulting and stuff like that. And I wanted to have Jesse on because he's going to answer a lot of questions that a lot of people have for me. And this is kind of going to be a cool conversation because most people in the business industry, so we're going to kind of focus on the business conversation. Most people in the business world don't really understand sales. They don't understand the customer service end of things. There's some companies that have done it very, very well. There's some companies that do just a total shit show job on it. But I think it was a year ago that I did Andy Facila's podcast. Mm-hmm. It was like a year ago that I did Andy's podcast, and we were talking about the lighthouse concept and the whole deal, lighthouse and the tugboat. And I brought you up. I don't know how you came into the conversation, but you're on the podcast. One of his most watched podcasts. But we were talking about
random
the business and how, with the lighthouse concept and shining your light and the entire deal. And I forget who we were talking about, or how we were talking about it, but we were talking about like sales and guys and whatever. And I brought you up because Jesse and I have known each other for a couple of years. Shit, like 6-7 years.
Yeah, almost 10.
Guy, is it 10?
Yeah, it's been almost 10 years.
I don't do good with time.
Yeah.
But I actually have never bought a car from you, but all my friends have bought cars from you and stuff. I was the Audi guy, and I'd show up in the Audi to the Mercedes dealership, and you'd always laugh and be like, dude, you need to trade that in for a Mercedes. And I never did. So maybe this is kind of an interesting conversation because Jesse's never sold me a car. He did sell me on the bike, though.
You are what we would call a mythical unicorn.
I'm a unicorn.
Like this right? person that would come in and you're like, you get so fucking close, but you can't quite get it.
I'm like, I like that car.
And then you walk back and you're like, what the fuck do I got to do?
to get him to buy a car.
Yeah.
Well, here's what's cool. Like the conversation of business, and this is something that I really try and focus on with not only my business, with Lions Not Sheep, but with my clients. Because I truly believe like we're in a day and age where we're so bombarded with technology. We're so bombarded with ads and with marketing and with media. I mean, you drive down the freeway and there's 1,000 billboards. You go online and there's ads everywhere you look. TV, radio, newspaper. It's like ad, and like deals and what to buy and when to buy. And we got, spring clearance and fall clearance and winter clearance and summer clearance and pool clearance and coffee table clearance and all kinds of crazy shit. But what I'm finding and what I'm really intrigued with is there's some people that seem to be able to rise to the top without all the fucking noise. There's some people that literally are able to do really, really well in selling, do really well in whatever industry it's in, whether it's an insurance salesman, whether it's a mortgage guy, whether it's a car salesman. It doesn't really matter. It seems to me that a lot of the guys that do very, very well, this is including like MLMs.
Sure.
I know a lot of really high-level guys in MLM, and they've never pitched me their MLM, ever. Like, they've never pitched me their MLM. But yet the dudes at the bottom of the totem pole are like, dude, come to my house. We're going to have a meeting, and there's going to be dudes with Lamborghinis there, and, it's going to be awesome, right? And you got to do it, and you're going to work for yourself. When you circle back to some of these top-level performers, and I consider you a top-level performer with Mercedes. I mean, your accolades, you've, like, been the top dude, in America? And what?
No, not quite America, but... let's see, for the last 7 years, I've been in the top 5 for a company that runs 2,000 sales guys. I run the highest gross in the dealership and in the group. And we have a cool little deal. It's called Society of Excellence. So they always take the top people. They do a paid vacation, all that kind of stuff.
So you're basically the big swinging dick, is what I'm saying.
I don't know about the top
5%, or the top 5, which is like.
We top 1%.
Yeah.
Top 1, top 2%.
So knowing that, I mean, I want to paint that picture simply because you're not just a car salesman.
Right.
And this is the reason I want to have this conversation, to share with everybody listening, all the entrepreneurs, all the young guys, all the old guys, all the hustlers, all the grinders, all the dudes that are trying to build a business, want to build a business, want to start a business. I can share all I want and I can beat my drum all day long.
Sure.
And it's kind of like, yeah, cool, here's Whalen again. But having other people like you, like Andy, other successful entrepreneurs, echoing this conversation is huge for me, simply because it works and it's truth. And what's fascinating, circling back to my unicorn status, is one of the reasons that I was always cool with you and always coming in and having friends like that would go in is because you've actually I don't think you've ever tried to sell me a car.
Well,
and this is what's cool about this conversation is, as a car salesman, the preconceived notion is the same as an insurance salesman. It's the same as whatever. He's just going to try and, all right, what do we got to do today?
Exactly.
Right now. Listen, if you do it now, we'll throw in extra chamois wipes and we'll whatever, right? And that's the preconceived notion of a car salesman. And like you said, I've known you for 10 years. You text me all the time when the new rides come in or this, that, or the other, but you've never tried to sell me a car. And I know from your other clientele, it's the same thing. It's the same vibe. So talk to me about how, like, what your idea is about how to be a good car salesman. Start there. I mean, because you're in that industry, we can talk top level stuff and sales and marketing and stuff, but like from a car salesman perspective, you're leading the pack. You're doing more volume, more deals than most people out there. But yet for me and the guys that I know that have bought cars from you, you've never tried to sell anybody a car. Like, how the hell does that work?
Well, it works for a couple of reasons. The biggest one is that I guess we need to rewind a little bit. And when I went from, so I've actually been at the Mercedes-Benz dealership for almost 13 years now. So when I went there, I was actually a service technician. So I got through there, started in October 2004, and was a service tech. So I kind of have that weird, I like to fucking be by myself, let me just fix shit kind of attitude. But on the same token, one of the things that I've always enjoyed was meeting new people, conversing, understanding what makes people tick. Like, why do they do certain things? Why do they not do certain things? And how can I sway that judgment, or how can I figure out how to help them get what they want, kind of a thing. So 2007, real estate kind of turns down. We're having some overturn. General manager comes up to me and says, "Hey, would you like to try selling cars?" I looked at him and said, "Well, fuck yeah, sure, why not?" At least I know I can go back to fixing shit if it doesn't work. So the very first event we go to was an event at NetJet, was part of the Millionaire up at the airport. We took out a couple S classes. We had a G-Wagon, and I didn't own a suit at this time, Sean. Like, I didn't own anything. Like, I was
nowadays, by the way, you are a fairly classy.
Yeah. I've come a long way.
Full circle.
I've come full circle. I didn't own anything. So the night before I'm supposed to do this thing, like, I'm out at the mall, like, trying to get shit so that I can look and feel the part, so that I'm not some weird person at this event. So roll up there, and I'm being a little reserved because I'm scared to death. Like, here I am, I'm in this situation where now I've put my ass on the line. I actually have to talk to somebody new that I've never met before. And there's this guy named Brandon talking about planes. His general manager introduces me to him. He'd been into our dealership a few times before. And he just asked me a couple of questions. And, as God would see it, like, they happen to just be some technical questions about the car. And I was able to kind of just start rattling stuff off. And because I was able to have that little deeper knowledge about the technology on the vehicles, like, I instantly had this guy's trust. And therefore, then we could start to build the relationship. I ended up selling 2 cars. So mind you, as a service technician, I was making piece rate. I was probably making, $2,500, $3,000 a month. I go to this one event and make almost $4,000 on these 2 cars. And I was like, this is fucking sweet. Like, this is crazy. Like, my whole perception had changed on what was possible, all because I could just communicate with this guy, all because I could build a relationship in a short period of time. So now fast forward to where we are now. That's been the biggest thing for me. It's it doesn't really matter the product, I don't think. I mean, it's nice to have, Mercedes-Benz or whatever that is. I've been very fortunate in the Highline industry. I've never worked for a Honda dealership. I've never worked for a Toyota dealership. And I got to be honest, I don't think I would make it in those industries for this reason. What I've learned is that everybody wants the same thing. Whether it's you, me, the neighbor, the fucking girl next door, we all want the best thing. All of the research circling back to the technology, all of the research shows that these people are online. They're on YouTube. They're on social media. They probably know as much about the car or more than I do in most cases. So they're just looking for the right person. Mm-hmm. They already know what they want. They're looking for the connection. And it's, again, going back to the technology, we get so distracted between the phones and the internet and the billboards and all that other shit that when you build that real relationship, or when somebody comes in, to kind of give you an example, we sold a G-Wagon, had to put an order on a G-Wagon, G63 2 months ago. Car should be here anytime soon. Guy comes in, brings his wife, and she says, I want a G63. And I said, yeah, okay, I got one. We can show it to you. First thing that comes out of the husband's mouth, because he's already researched the car, well, how do they ride? And I just flat out looked him in the eye and said, dude, they ride like shit. It's a 1970s technology, solid axle, locking differential. It rides like a fucking pickup truck. But it's cool as hell.
And they're fast as shit.
Yeah, it's cool as hell. And he instantly said, I'll buy the car from you.
Yeah.
Just because you're willing to be honest. So in my course of being able to go through this business and this idea is that I've learned how to be able to connect to people on a pretty quick level. But I've also have figured out how to understand what people want. And once I took the rollout of how do I sell this fucking car as quick as possible so that I can get my money, right? Once I get that out of the equation to how do I help this person get the right car so that I know that they're happy, so that they are impressed with me, they're impressed with the dealership. Well, if I can do that, then I know they're going to come back because I spent the time to figure out what they need to get them the right vehicle or whatever it might be. Fuck, I've told people, dude, don't buy the car. It doesn't make any sense. You're going to lose too much money. This is ridiculous. Don't do it. And whether they choose to or not at that point, I mean, that's up to them.
Right.
But at least I know I get to go home at night. I get to kiss my wife and kids and go to bed with a conscience of I didn't fuck anybody over today.
It's funny, man, because like there's so many things that we could talk about in what you just said, but the thing that sticks out to me is I was in Best Buy not too long ago looking at a couple different things. And I had to ask probably 7 or 8 people about one product.
Yeah.
And, there's a difference in a job and in working and whether you're a salesman, you're commission-based, you're an hourly-based person. There's nothing more frustrating than saying, can you help me with the cameras? And it's the camera guy who's over the camera department, and that's his rodeo, right? He doesn't do TVs. He doesn't do, headphones or DVDs or whatever. He's over the cameras, and you're like, hey, tell me about this. And he's like, well, I don't really know anything about it. And he's reading the same shit that I'm reading right off the thing, and he's trying to explain it to me like, bro, I already read that.
Yeah.
But my question is this, or this. And one of the things that I've noticed about, top-level guys who – like insurance guys, I've got some really good friends who do very, very well in insurance, is they know every product.
Absolutely.
And it's not some bullshit like, well, hey, what do you want? Cool, we'll fit you into something. They're like, no, this product will do this, and this, and this would be a benefit to you, this wouldn't. And I think like the thing that a lot of people fall short on, salesmen in particular, is knowing the fucking product.
Right. Well, there's a couple of things. I mean, there's knowing the product, which has been huge for me. I mean, sometimes I fucking get too technical and I will lose somebody. Fortunately, I've been around long enough to realize that, okay, I'm getting too far off. Like, I got to reel this back in. But it also, a lot of this goes back to, especially, in consideration of salespeople or, the people at Best Buy or your minimum wage workers or whatever. And then, unfortunately, I think it's just kind of the way that the world is right now. Like, people are just fucking lazy.
Yeah.
That's just what it is. It's just pure laziness. Like, I don't care if you get paid to be there $15 an hour or if you get paid a percentage once I buy that shit. As me as a sales guy, like I have to be honest, like once I've made up my mind, just fucking help me. Just let me buy it. Like I just want to buy it. Like I might have a couple of questions, but because I'm in that world,
right.
And then there's nothing worse than going in and getting that runaround. And then it's like, dude, you work here. Like this guy at Best Buy, you fucking work here. And I have to ask you questions and you can't answer them?
I'm the one grabbing the box, trying to read the stuff and this and that and the other. And it's like, I've had the same experience with cars.
Yep.
You know, buying a truck or this or that or the other. Does this do this? Oh, I don't really know. I'm new here or I'm this. And everybody seems to have an excuse.
Well, I
don't really know. And I'm new.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of over the cars or the this. But and I'm not saying that every single person has to know, like literally, like how thick the sidewalls are on the tires, or you know whatever. But there's like 95% of people that go in to buy a car probably ask the same damn questions. It's not like they're asking you like what part of the continent this part was manufactured in, or what the fiber count is in the seat, you know, stitching. People aren't asking that, but knowing the product has been like so. It's frustrating for me as a consumer wanting to buy something, and you walk into a place of business, you walk into a car dealership, you walk into I went to a boat dealership the other day and I was asking about a boat, and the dude had no fucking clue. He owned it. He owned the place, and he's like, I don't really know. Let me check. Let me do this. And it's fine, but when you're talking basic level stuff, like there comes a point in time when as a salesman, the more educated you are, like in my opinion, the less you have to sell.
Absolutely.
You're not trying to be like, oh shit, I got to crank. How can I help you? Like what information can I share with you? What questions do you have? And you end up being the expert on that particular deal.
Well, and again, I mean, it comes back to, I mean, when you first get into sales, most times you don't know much about anything.
Right.
So sometimes you get that, you know, that excuse like, hey, I'm new, which because I'm in sales, because I'm in sales, like I'm sensitive to it and be like, well, can you get me to somebody that can help me then? Right? Like, let me talk to that person. You know what I'm saying? And then they can kind of build and grow from there. Because, I mean, I would say 9 times out of 10, I mean, you don't just walk into something and you're just a fucking rock star. Some people are. I mean, some people have that ability. So, but again, it goes back to, for me, it doesn't really matter what you do. Like, I think I'm a little bit more unique because I've always, going through high school and grade school, playing baseball and performing at a high level, and always kind of being that guy that was, and this might sound egotistical, which it's not. I'm just very confident in my abilities. Like I'm very aware of what I have, what I can bring to the table. And some people, I think, find that, you know, that kind of can rub people the wrong way. I'm sure.
Oh, dude,
I'm sure you know that very well.
I get that every day.
But going into the sales aspect, like I know what I can do, and just don't be lazy.
Right.
Like as a new salesperson or a new business owner or new anything, like especially go back to technology, we have fucking Google.
Right.
Like you can Google anything on the planet. You can YouTube anything on the planet and figure out how to do something from the comfort and convenience of your own fucking couch. Like there's so many tools, and it just comes back to being lazy. When you get into sales, like there's this kind of this newbie thing, like because you're new to it, like you don't understand what the objections are, and so you don't hear the objection. So they just move right past it, right? It's like what we call steps to the sale. They just move right past the objection. We keep going, you keep going, and then you get the deal. Well, then you start to think you know how to do everything, and then you really start fucking it up. But that's where it comes into just put, and you say it all the time, you just have to put in the work.
Do the work.
You just have to do the fucking work, and you just have to mentally know what you're doing and have, like today, like, so I got my riding vest on, but I just keep a notepad with me. I always have a notepad with me. And anytime I have an idea for, you know, a shirt or something that I'm doing or a sales idea, I just fucking jot it down. Mm-hmm. You just jot it down because I never know when I'm going to need to come back to it. But by doing that, it's allowed me to, again, I just had this weird light bulb moment of, okay, well, I know all the technology stuff. Like, nobody can trump me there. Like, I can answer really any question about any of the vehicles. and not only answer the question, I know how to demonstrate it. Like I can literally take somebody and say, let me show this. Let me show you what this will do for you. It doesn't fucking, if you're a sales guy, it doesn't matter what it does for you. Can it do for your customer?
Well, here's what's interesting. Let's create some polarity with this. You walk on to 8 out of 10 car lots in America.
Oh, dude, you got people sitting out on the front that are trying to fucking rip you out of your car.
You got
it's crazy.
8 out of 10 car dealerships in America, and what do the majority of the consumers find when they drive in there? Like, what do you typically see when you drive in there besides the cars? You see a group of dudes standing around, whether they're smoking or not smoking or this, that, or the other. That's where the polarity happens. That's the difference, in my opinion. And you, again, talking sales, talking marketing, talking business, talking again insurance, cars. It doesn't matter. Anybody who's listening to this who's in sales, you can be one of two types of people. You can be the dude grab-assing in the parking lot, talking some smack, talking about the ladies, talking about whatever. Or you can be the sales guy with his head under the hood while no one's there, learning the fucking car.
Right.
Reading the manuals, understanding the specifics of each particular car on that lot. And I think that's the interesting fact is most people just don't do the work. Most people don't put in the time to understand the product, to learn the product, to do the deal in order to be educated enough to be able to speak from authority on something. And the guys that I know, guys like you, they know their product inside and out.
So what's interesting is going back to with all the tools that we have these days. Like I said, most of the customers these days, I mean, if they're willing to put in a little bit of time, I think the average research is they're researching like 36 hours before they even go into a dealership. Yeah. Do you know what you can learn in 36 hours? You can learn a lot of shit. And so what I've always found is interesting is, again, going back to just the basics. It's just a basic communication. And I think this, and as a dad that's got 2 kids, like it scares the hell out of me. Like people don't know how to communicate anymore.
Yeah. So talk about that, because that's something I think, we could talk about multiple levels of sales and marketing and business, but the relationship component.
Absolutely.
And we can transfer the title of conversation to relationships, but I really feel like, one of the things that you've done is not only understood the product from your background, but you've figured out how to build relationships. And it's not something necessarily, in my opinion, knowing you, that you went to a Mercedes-Benz class on how to be a friendly salesman or whatever. It's just nature where you're a personable fella in the sense that when somebody drives in there, it, like you said, they're ripping you out of the car. It's like this pit bull attack. Right. Nobody likes that.
Nobody.
I mean, when you go to your neighbor's house and you don't say, open up your fucking garage, I need to take your lawnmower. Right. You're like, hey, Bob, you know what? My thing's on the shitter. Can I borrow your lawnmower? I'll fill it up with gas and I'll bring it back. Major difference. That's human nature. That's Absolutely. Not selling. That's not business. That's not, it doesn't matter the industry. That's just being a good dude, being a good human being. I constantly, talk to my clients and coach people on selling without selling.
Yep.
And people talk to me all the time. How have you built lions, not sheep? What do you do? Because if you follow my social media, I do 99% of my business through social media.
Right.
But you'll be hard pressed to go to my Facebook page or any of my pages.
I follow it.
I'm not. Hey, if you do it today, it's this, and I'm going to throw in this. I don't sell shit.
Exactly.
I'm not selling, but at the same time, I'm selling.
Well, so here's the thing, though, is again going back to the relationship. When you spit truth, people are naturally drawn to that.
Just like the guy saying, how does the G-Wagon ride?
They are just naturally drawn to that.
Like shit.
You will instantly have a connection with them. Now, the connection's going to go one of two ways in what I found. You're either going to strike a chord, right? And some of these people lose their fucking mind. But they lose their mind and it strikes a chord because they know it's true, but they're not doing it. And then you have the people like yourself, Andy, Gary V, all these other guys. Anybody that's good at anything knows this. Like, This is simple, basic stuff. The relationship is the only thing.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at
everything else you can learn, the relationship is the only thing.
It has to be pure. It's got to be real. And if you
absolutely
for those of you that are thinking this is bullshit, let me paint a little picture for you, because I talked about this earlier. You and I met through the car business. I mean, we weren't homies in college or in high school or whatever. We met through me coming to the dealership and other people and knowing each other, and we built a friendship out of that deal, which today I'm still the unicorn. I haven't bought a car. But if you circle back around, for those of you that don't believe that the relationship is key, if you don't believe that the relationship is important, if you don't believe that I mean, when these customers come in, that they're just a freaking sale, they're just a commission, and you move on to the next one, let me paint a quick picture for you. I went and did a podcast which has over 1 million downloads a month on Andy Frasilla's podcast. Mm-hmm. And today, from my understanding, it's still like the number 2 or number 3 of the 100 plus that he's done podcasts that are downloaded. In mentioning you had people reach out to you.
I had like random emails coming to me
from people, and that's where you hit me up a couple days later after it was released and said, "Hey, dude, did you?" And I forgot about it. You're like, "Did you talk about me somewhere?" So I got these dudes from the East Coast, and I think you said had a guy in New Jersey buy a car or something like that.
New York, yeah.
So the point is, I'm not a customer. I'm not a consumer. I'm not somebody who's bought anything from you. I'm the unicorn. But just by you building a relationship and being a cool dude, being a dude who will talk about cars, won't be jamming something down somebody's throat, whatever, just by you being just a good human being, a dude who likes to have conversation with people, that had the effect on me to where you popped in my mind on this huge podcast. I mentioned you on this podcast, and it ends up turning into people contacting you to buy cars. So for those of you that don't think the relationship is key, that the relationship is important, knowing the product, yes, learning the sales system, sure, filling out contracts, that's all easy shit, but having the ability to be a human being that can create a relationship with both buyers and non-buyers. I mean, there's nothing that turns somebody off worse than being on a car lot and you're like, I'm just looking, whatever, and the guy's like, okay, fuck you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And you don't get the time of day where, what could that be? What could that turn into in the insurance business, in the sales business, in the apparel business, in the TV business? It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter what it is.
Like, I will send people to you to buy cars. I've mentioned you, and they've come and bought cars just because you've built a relationship.
Right.
And I feel like so few people in sales understand this, that you can't look at every single person as a fucking dollar.
Right.
You can't look at them as a commission. Like, I got hundreds of dudes that apply for the Lions Not Sheep experience. And if I do the math in my head, oh my God, all these applications and all this stuff, and it could be, I can't think that way. When I sold insurance and when I did stuff back in the days in sales in my early 20s, I had that mentality. Well, but I now look at it and realize, like, how can I help this guy? And the more value I can put into this human being's life, the more I can teach them, the more I can show them, the more I can educate them.
Absolutely.
The more they're going to just be a friend of mine, an associate, an acquaintance. And when I'm thinking about on a podcast in front of 1 million people about the Lighthouse concept, and we're talking business, and all of a sudden Jesse pops into my mind, those are the kind of investments that, how do you quantify that? I mean, how many people have you done deals with along the years, in 10 plus years, that had that same experience with you, where you got a referral, you got a deal simply because you gave that person the time of day, you were cool as shit with them, you knew your fucking product, and you treated them like a human being versus a dollar?
More than I can count.
Probably an infinite amount. I mean, who knows? More
than I can count. Let me. As you're painting a picture, I'll paint this picture as well. I don't take ups. I'm not out there beating the pavement.
Right.
Like, I'm not out there, that guy that's sitting out on the front or under the picnic table, like, waiting to pull people out of their car.
Yeah, I've never seen you walk out when somebody pulls up.
Ever. Like, you don't run out of your fucking house when somebody pulls into your driveway.
Right.
Like, why would you do that?
Right.
It's weird. And not only is it weird, like, you send... It's interesting because whether we want to admit it or not, we're constantly judging people.
Oh, yeah.
We're judging ourselves or we're judging others. And it's always based upon looks and body language and attitude. That's your first in right there. And if you can just be the person that's like this is the key in sales. If you take nothing else from this, the key in sales is be yourself. Just be fucking real. Lose the canned speeches. Lose the bullshit that your sales manager wants you to fucking spit. Whatever that is, just figure out how to be you. Figure out how to connect to somebody and build a relationship. Do you want to buy a car from a sales guy? Or would you rather walk in and buy something from your friend that you know is going to guide you, set you up in the right way, and make it a seamless, easy transaction? Listen, I've been in the car business for 13 years. I fucking hate the car business because of the conceptions, the feeling, the attitude, and a lot of the shit that goes on. Like, I'll be the first person to tell you, like, there's some shady shit that goes on in the car business. But it doesn't have to be that way. Right. And that's how I've been able to mold my own little world. Like, just because I'm in sales, I'm still a business owner. I'm 100% commission based. I walk into my 10 by 10 glass cubicle every single day and say, if I don't perform today, if I'm not on my A game, I don't fucking get paid. But when you take that from, if I don't perform today and I don't sell a car, I don't get paid, to how can I change somebody's life today? How can I connect with somebody today? How can I make a new friend? Just like you, I've never sold you a car. How can I make a friend? Because you never know, by doing the right things, and sometimes it's not selling the car, that it brings you more fruit than you can bear. Yeah. Like, it just, like, it's so vast and it's so infinite, like, you have no idea.
But the thing is it's true. Like, what
that's
so
all
many people want to refute that and say, well, it's this or it's that or it's sales. Like, when I first started the Lions Not Sheep experience and started interviewing guys, and like I hired some sales guys to like kind of teach me the sales process, and there's all of these thoughts out there and concepts out there of like finding the pain, and then you exploit the pain, and then you try and manipulate the pain. No one wants to buy some shit when they've been manipulated. No one. I mean, this is the reason that the late night infomercial world is a multi-billion dollar deal. Because who's up late at night? People that are depressed, people that are miserable, people that are fucking drunk and they're broke. And so what's sold every single night? Like, how to get laid,
Viagra,
right? How to make more money,
clean my colon,
how to look better. You know what I'm saying? And how to make more money. Right. And that's the concept. That's the idea. That's the notion behind kind of this entire sales world, in the sense is, let's manipulate you and mold you into something and then spit you out the door, and then all of a sudden you go home and you have like buyer's remorse, or you don't like it, or you return it, or this or that or the other. But the top people that I know have taught me this. I learned this through them. So when I started talking to people about the Lions Not Sheep experience, in my mind, I'm interviewing people and they're paying to come to this experience, and it's an investment, a large, sizable investment for them. And so there was a dramatic difference when I went from listening to my coaches and how to sell and these steps and these processes to just getting on the phone with a dude. And literally the very first question that I ask people now, which is the polar opposite. It's literally the polar opposite of what every sales manual, sales technique would tell you to do. I literally ask as a simple question: why should I invite you to come to this experience? And the flipping of the mind is, I'm not selling you shit. You're telling me why you should come.
Absolutely.
Now, and a lot of people look at that as presumptuous. A lot of people look at that, I want to know why you want to be here. And that's the cool, like, go back to the car dealership. Why are you here?
Right.
Well, because I'm looking. Awesome. Why are you here? Because I want that G-Wagon. Fantastic.
Right.
Why are you here? Hey, how you doing? Can I sell you a car? I mean, the principles are so freaking simple that from selling an experience, selling coaching, selling consulting, selling cars, selling insurance, selling a freaking bottle of water.
Selling anything.
Be a good human being. Know your damn product. Be a good human being and create a relationship before anything else.
Absolutely.
I mean, how many people will keep coming back? How many people will keep buying? So what would you say right now to guys like that are either let's talk to guys who are either in the industry or, I mean, just sales guys, period. Like, what would you say like the top two things are that salesmen, whether they're experienced, whether they're top of the heap, whether at the bottom, whether they're just getting started, they're just hustling, what would you say like salesmen could take from this, or any entrepreneur could take from this podcast, like the top two things that they could leave today with and practice to get better at this? Like if I could take two nuggets, two tools, I'm all about like putting more arrows in the quiver, having as many tools as you can so that you can solve more problems. But what two arrows could they put in their quiver that would help them become better salesmen?
So the first one that has been the biggest thing for me is just be who you are. Be who you are. It doesn't matter what you're selling, whether you're selling a car, whether you're selling insurance, whether you're selling the fucking bottle of water. When you are coming from a place of originality, when you're coming from a place of truth, when you're coming from a place of, I know who I am, versus I'm going to take this speech that Grant Cardone wrote, right? I mean, Grant Cardone's a great sales trainer and all that kind of stuff, and they've got great models. But when you have to think, like, how many sales guys are saying the same fucking speech?
Yeah.
Every single one of them. So these people are already on high alert when they walk into your place of business for the most part, right? So the first nugget is just be who you are. Like, don't be ashamed to be who you are. There's no reason for it. Obviously, you're there, and especially if you're a top performer, you're a top performer for a reason. Let who you are shine.
And maybe a concept too to add to this, if you're not a top performer, this is one of the things that I've been like trying to pound in people's heads, that I've been preaching from the rooftops for who knows how long. Like, the definition of insanity is banging your head against the wall over and over and over,
Expecting the same result. Yep.
I one-up that because I'm a one-upper. The definition of stupidity.
Unicorn.
I'm a unicorn. The definition of stupidity is watching someone get huge results and not copying exactly what they're doing. Like, if you're watching the top 1% of salesmen, and you're copying your buddy down here at the bottom, you're a fucking idiot.
Yep, absolutely.
Like what you're saying, be yourself. If the top people in the industry are saying, dude, stop putting on the fucking dog and pony show and just be a good dude, listen to that shit. Oh, but I'm supposed to do this. What you're supposed to do is you're copying people that are broke as shit.
Right.
What I'm saying is, why don't you mirror what the top people are? With real estate agents, I've got a client of mine who's a real estate agent who hired me to try and expand marketing and the whole thing. And I said, look at some of the top people in the industry. You look at a guy like Frederick Uckland, okay? Frederick Uckland has the show, New York, the whole thing. Yeah. One of the top paid real estate agents in America. The dude has like billions of dollars worth of listings. He makes like hundreds of thousands of dollars in commission checks where people are like trying to get $2,000, $3,000, $4,000. But he's fucking good, dude.
Oh,
what he does
really good.
He lives his life through social media. He's just out there. He's outspoken. He's a normal dude. I've seen him interact with clients, the whole thing. He's a normal dude. He acts like him all the time, 24/7.
Right.
And he happens to be the dude that everybody wants to work with.
Right. Same thing.
It's the same concept.
It's the same concept.
To share that with people, like, if you think that what Jesse's saying, if you think what Frederick is doing and what I'm doing is total bullshit, ask yourself the question, am I producing more than them?
Right.
Are the car salesmen listening to this in the top 1 percentile? If you're not, I highly suggest you shut the fuck up and listen to what the people at the top 1% are doing.
Absolutely. Well, so I mean, that would be the first nugget. Just be who you are. I'll give you 3. The second one is, don't be afraid to ask for the fucking sale. If you're not willing or comfortable to ask for hundreds of thousands of dollars, you have no fucking business being in the industry. 0. It's that simple. If you can't ask for the money and you can't ask for the business, don't do it. Don't be there. You're wasting your time. Go get a 9-to-5, flipping burgers or whatever, washing cars. You have to be able to do that. That's one of the things that I see in my industry where they struggle the most. It's not my fucking money. Who am I to say what this person should or shouldn't spend their money on? It has nothing to do with me. I have no problem asking for $500,000 for a car. That's great, cool, whatever. But at the same time, because it's not my money, like, I don't care about it more than the customer cares about it. And that kind of leads me into the third nugget. Again, what we've been talking about. It's the relationship. It's 100% the relationship. Once you as a top performer or you as somebody that's at the bottom trying to figure out how to work your way up, once you can relieve and remove your stress about what you need to do, about how you need to perform or how much money you need to make or how many cars you have to sell or computers or phones or whatever it is, and you start worrying about your client, your customer, building a relationship, becoming a friend, somebody, as I was just talking to your aide here this morning, I don't want to be that guy that's walking down the mall that totally fucked somebody and the customer found out about it 2 days or 2 weeks later, and I run into that guy and I have to duck and run. I refuse to be that guy because the only thing I have in this world is my word. That's it. I am my word. And so when you have that ability to create those relationships, you get to come out and hang out with Sean Whalen at Lions Not Sheep. You get to hang out with other clients where you're going out of town with them, you're going on vacation, you're going to dinner, and everything is smooth. And when you do the things the right way the first time, albeit it feels like it's hard, right? When you try to do it the right way the first time instead of lying, stealing, cheating, just so I can skate through and get on to the next deal, it's smooth. It's so smooth. And then everything else goes smooth. So it's all about believing in you, being you, speaking the truth. Listen, that's what's wrong with the car business, right? Is that the car business continues to fail to change. It does not want to change at all. They want to use the same dog and pony tricks from the 70s, 80s, and 90s about, again, going back, what's their pain? How can we break them? How can we listen to this shit? I mean, shit like this fucking happens in 2017. Let's keep let's keep the keys to their trade so that they can't leave until they're ready to buy a car. Are you fucking kidding me right now? Like how ignorant of us as salespeople, business owners in the car industry to think that people are that stupid.
Yeah.
How ignorant.
Well, dude, and it doesn't get you anywhere. It doesn't get them anywhere.
It does. Even if you sell them the car, they fucking hate you, and you will never see that business ever again. Exactly. And not only that, all the dollars that you spend on advertising to get somebody into the door, you just pissed it all away by pissing this one person off that you didn't spend any money on, and I'll be what? They are going to fucking nuke your name.
Oh, dude.
They are going to blow you up, and you didn't pay a dime for it, but you just got the most advertising in the world for somebody that you just tried to bend over backwards or, not help them out at the end of the day. And so when you have the ability to take yourself out of the equation and figure out how to build that value, figure out how to build that relationship, then it becomes about them. Me as a salesperson, I get excited when a customer comes in and they're like, fuck, it's my wedding or it's an anniversary, it's a birthday. This is what I'm looking for. And you get excited about it. Most of these people, my clientele, again, I don't take the ups. Like I get people from referrals, New York from a podcast, from all these other people. I sell them cars all over the country from places that when I first started this, I had no idea I would ever be doing this. I had no idea that my phone, I would just get a text message and be like, hey, I'm looking for an SLS, $220,000 super sports car. I'm like, fuck, okay, this is pretty sweet.
Yeah.
But when you do the work the right way the first time, you bear all the fruits later and you don't have to do much for it. But it's all based upon you as an individual and who you are, your word. And then it just becomes fun.
Yeah.
Now it becomes about the customer. It becomes about when you're doing the experience, you already know what you're going to do.
Right.
You already know what's going to happen for most of these people. Some of them are going to fight it, right? Some of them might not take as much out of it as the next guy. But because you already have that knowledge of what your guys are going to go through at your Lions Sheep Not experience, you're excited for them. Same way I'm excited for when somebody comes in and rolls off in an AMG and they get through that braking period of time and they're going to go bombing around the corner and the tires are going to break loose and they've got the exhaust notes going and the throttle. It's just everything's roaring. Like you feel alive.
Yeah.
And that's the cool thing with sales. It's a cool way to know that you're alive in a short period of time. It's a cool way to go from nothing, somebody literally walking into my office where I have nothing, to within an hour I'm asking for $200,000. And they give it to me willingly. They're happy about it. They're excited. And in 2 years or whatever, they come back and they give me more money.
It's cool because one of the things that I'm really passionate about is like understanding the sales process. You know what I mean? Like I always want to know why. I'm the constant asker. I'm asking why about everything, right? Like, why has this happened? Why does this happen? Why does this work this way? Why do we send people to this place? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm always asking why. And so I want to know And I think this is what differentiates a good salesperson too, is trying to understand what's beyond the deal. And I think what is really, really, really interesting is when you can stop and look at why people do what they do, why people say what they say, why people are the way that they are. I mean, at the end of the day, the money, the commission, the this, that becomes the easy part.
Right.
I mean, you don't even worry about that. You don't even need to do that. But like when you stop and understand human beings, like when you understand how to be a good human being and truly build a relationship and connect with somebody, you're constantly selling.
Right.
And this is my point that I wanted to make is a lot of salesmen don't understand that you're always selling. If you're in the sales business, which everyone is, by the way, just in case you were thinking that I'm not a salesman, I don't give a shit what you're doing.
Every single person on this planet is in the sales business.
The girl at the kiosk at the mall, the girl answering the phones at Comcast Cable, the checkout lady at the liquor store. Like every single human being is selling.
Absolutely.
24/7 something. So this is why people say, well, you don't have big pages, you don't have big things or big marketing funnels like a lot of these other internet marketer guys do. But yet at the same time, I realize every single post that I make on social media, every single video that I put up, every connection that I have with somebody at an airport or at a restaurant, when I bump into somebody and they're like, hey, love your stuff, love your videos, whatever, I'm constantly selling.
Yep.
And I think if people wrap their head around that and understand that, you don't have to say, give me your money, come in, what's it going to take to get you in a car today kind of a deal. But when you act like a normal human being
right.
versus slamming your neighbor's garage door open again, saying, give me your fucking lawnmower,
right.
You know what I mean? Versus saying, hey, Bob, I'm out of gas, can I borrow some kind of a deal? There's two dramatically different ways to act as a human being. And I think the top salespeople we've identified are acting like your normal, cool neighbor.
Right.
And they're not trying to shove anything down your throat, and they're not trying to freaking persuade you or manipulate you. They're saying, hey, come over and have a freaking whiskey and a cigar, and let's just talk about the freaking Cubs game.
Exactly.
And it ends up that you end up buying a car from this guy because he's your buddy.
That's
because
right.
he's your friend.
You instantly gain that trust.
Yeah.
And so once you have that trust, then it becomes, how do I nurture it? How do I make sure that I'm doing right by this person? And again, that just goes back to, as a salesperson, I mean, you can't be afraid to say no. You can't be afraid to hear no. You can't be afraid to lose the sale. You can't be afraid of anything.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, what is there to be afraid of?
Sure.
Nothing. There's nothing to be afraid of. You're going to hit it off with some people, and you're going to not hit it off with some people. Like, I run into clients all the time, and I walk out, I give them my best, and I can instantly tell this is like fucking sandpaper in the ass without any lubricant. I need to find somebody else for this person because I'm going to jeopardize the customer's experience.
Right.
And at that point, not only does it become, it's not about me, I'm jeopardizing the experience of the dealership, of the business, of that owner if you don't own your own business, with that client. They don't walk out of there and say, Sean was a fucking asshole. They walk out of there and say, Mercedes-Benz let me down.
Yeah.
Lions, not sheep, let me down. So then it becomes this big whole thing that you're really trying to grasp. Like, it's not about you anymore. Like, as a salesperson, you're representing a lot of different things. And hopefully one day maybe you get to the level of success that some of us have had, that where, it's not the dealership anymore. Like, I'm at a point where they don't come to my dealership because of the dealership. They come to see me.
Yeah.
They're there for me, not for the dealership, which is really cool, and it's really fun to see how that all works. But that's the type of guy that I've always been, though. When you seek truth, you ask hard questions. You're looking for the shit in the dark. Like, you're looking, like, why does it work? Why does it have to be this way? Why does the car industry or, McDonald's have to work like this? Like, why isn't there a better way?
Right.
Once you embrace the fact that the only thing that's going to fucking happen in your life, whether it's a work, a job, a business, a wife, a relationship, kids, the only thing that's going to happen is fucking change. That's it. The only thing that you can ever expect and plan on is for tomorrow to be different from it was today, and so on and so on. And once I was able to embrace the fact that nothing's ever going to stay the same, and you get over the fear that shit's going to change, Dude, you feel like you can rule the world.
Dude, there's nothing more consistent than change.
It's the only thing that there is change.
Trees change every day. The weather changes. Like life changes. Our bodies change. Our skin changes. Our friggin' everything changes.
But when you're willing to go out and find the change,
right.
or what some people say, be the change, then you're really asking the right questions about how do I mold what my craft is? I don't care what it is. How do I mold my craft to be the best that I can be?
Dude, I couldn't agree with that more. And that's the difference between driving on a sales lot and seeing 10 dudes standing around, or 10 dudes that are trying to figure out how to understand the product better,
right,
or connect better. That's the difference between somebody that wants to know how to be able to help somebody buy the right computer versus the most expensive computer because they get a bigger spiff on it, kind of a thing.
Right.
I think that's what, if you think about every level of communication, every level of relationship, it boils down to is, am I trying to be a better person individually? And this is what we talk about all the time. What I talk about with Lions Not Sheep, my clients' whole thing is add value. Like the more value you add as a human being, I've given away more, I've put more content online where people are like, all these internet marketers are like, dude, you should package all this shit up and sell it as a thing and as a product. And I'm like, the reason everywhere I go, I connect with somebody or they recognize me from Facebook or Instagram or YouTube or whatever, is because I'm putting so much out there. I'm putting so much content out there.
You're not doing the same old shit that every other Tom, Dick, and Harry is doing.
And the sales funnels and the this and that, I'm constantly trying to add value to the universe. I'm constantly trying to add value to people's lives. And at the end of the day, people appreciate that.
Absolutely.
And if they don't buy the car or they don't buy the insurance policy or they don't buy the computer right there, that minute, they're going to have an experience one way or the other. And you can add value to that person's life, have them leave there smarter, more full, more knowledgeable, more whatever, appreciative, and they will then come back. They will then send their friends. They will then buy from you.
People are going to buy one of two ways. They're either going to buy because they feel like they have to, or because they want to.
Exactly. And
I can tell you that the latter will make you far more successful.
Yep.
Yes, the latter is harder. Yes, it's not the easy road. The easy road.
I actually think I disagree. Well, I think it is easier.
It is easier
it's not conventional.
Right.
And
it's
this
not
is what
conventional.
no one's teaching. No one's talking about. No car dealership is talking what we're talking about adding value, being a nice human being, saying, hey, this car drives like shit. No one's saying that.
No, when you walk into a dealership, here's what you get for the most part. And I could be off. Again, you have to understand that there are good salespeople out there. So don't mistake what Sean and I are talking about. And it's kind of cool that we have this opportunity and this platform to be able to bring this out. It's just like anything else. There's good police officers, there's bad police officers, good sales guys, bad sales guys, good attorneys, bad attorneys, whatever it might be. But when you walk into a dealership, you're treated like a number. You're looked at like a piece of meat. How can I get this person through step 1, 2, 3, meet and greet, qualifications, trade process, the test drive, the write up, the close, and then you go into finance and then they try to pitch you a warranty and all the other bullshit you get, right?
It's so much easier when somebody's just like, hey, dude, I want to buy this car and I like you. How can I make this happen? You're like, cool.
Dude,
come on over and let's freaking
It's so much easier when you walk out to somebody, and I treat people like they're coming to my house. Welcome. How are you? How can I assist you today? I don't like the word help. How can I assist you today?
Yeah.
What can I do for you to build value or make your life better?
Dude, Pete.
Listen, I already know that they want the car.
Right.
Dude, it's Mercedes-Benz.
Yeah.
I mean, there's other cars arguably out there that that can compete, but by and far, there's not been a more iconic vehicle that has done more things. I mean, fuck, it's in the Eagles, Janis Joplin. I mean, all these people are thinking about Mercedes-Benz, right? Like, you think safety, you think performance, you think luxury, you think.
Are you trying to sell me a car right now, bro?
No, I'm just saying.
I'm the unicorn.
You
remember?
think pinnacle, like it's a life event.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a life event to walk in and buy a cell phone.
Yeah.
You never know what's going on with that person at any given point in time and why they're there asking for your product.
Yeah.
They're just looking for the right fucking person to buy it from. So just be real, be you. It's okay to challenge the status quo. The status quo, there's no reason to reinvent the wheel, but challenge the status quo. The people that are living in the status quo are the 80% looking at the 20% saying, well, fuck, why are they getting what they get?
Because they do it different.
Because they're unwilling to just fucking change and do it the right way.
The moral of the story, friends, if you're in sales, which you are, which all of you are, is be you. I mean, I've said this for years and years and years. Be real, be raw, be relevant. Be who you are, tell the truth. Like, tell people why you do what you do, you think what you think, and then be relevant.
Absolutely.
How can I help you? How can I add value to your space today? And I think that's without question the conversation of sales, the conversation of business, the conversation of shit. This boils straight down into marketing. It's the exact same thing with marketing.
Yep.
The guys who are doing this in the marketing world are dominating and crushing it.
Well, I think it's not to cut you off. I think it's a thing in life. Like, you're the only Sean Whalen. I'm the only Jesse Green. If I'm not living my full potential, not only am I cheating you based upon what I can create, I'm cheating myself. And you never know what that one person is going to walk in and fucking change the world.
Dude, and that's
they're going to cure cancer. They're going to make people walk, like whatever it is, like somebody out there right now has that ability.
And that's a huge, I think that's a freaking brilliant point for us to end on, is going back to your comment about judgment, about watching somebody judging people. We're constantly judging people. When you get to the point that you're confident enough in who you are, with your product, with what you do, with what you say, with how you do it, you quit judging people because you realize I'm the master of this. I can control this. I can manipulate this however I want and build whatever I want. But at the end of the day, you truly never know who you're going to bump into. You truly never know what podcast is going to be done, that's going to be said, that's going to circulate, and all of a sudden Jesse's heard about here and the guy calls and the thing, or however it's going to work. When you radiate that light, when you shine that light, when you are that person, when you're adding value constantly, you cannot lose.
It always comes back. It always 100% comes back.
You can't lose. So my friends, add value, be yourself, quit trying to freaking peddle bullshit and tell everybody what to do, cramming shit down people's throats. Just be a good person.
Be a good person.
And buy a Harley Davidson and come ride with us.
Hell yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All right, my friends, appreciate you listening. Jesse can be found on Facebook. Can hit you up. You're leaving pretty soon from the dealership, right?
Yeah, I'm actually leaving the dealership here pretty soon. I started my own apparel company. As Sean was saying, we've got the Harleys and stuff. So we're doing a lot of stuff tailored towards bikers. We make everything here in the States, which is kind of cool. So it's been kind of it's been kind of an interesting thing. But we're on Facebook.
Sweet.
We're on Instagram. So
how do we find you?
So through the Mercedes-Benz dealership and just Jesse Green down at Mercedes-Benz of Linden out here in Utah County. And then on the other aspects that we've got, it's True North Motor Company. So Instagram, Facebook, you can find us, follow us, ask us questions. It's always cool to change. Like there's never anything wrong with extending a hand, helping somebody out,
Dude, I love
answering
it,
some questions.
I love it. It's adding value.
Doesn't cost anything to be a good person.
Doesn't cost anything to be a good person. My friends, thank you for tuning in. If you have received value from this, please share it. Please share it with your friends. Leave a comment for us on iTunes, on YouTube, wherever you're watching this. I appreciate you guys supporting the show, the podcast, the entire deal. And until next time, my friends, God bless America.
Rock on.